Welcome in. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. We're just going to continue sort of in a chronological order here, trying to make sure everybody kind of gets a good feeling or step. If you guys have been following along with these trainings, let's say if you're just every single training, you're implementing it the same week, the same 2 weeks that you're getting the training or after the training, you would find that everything kind of works in order. So we started with pretty much the basics, understanding the market, how to find information on current market conditions, temperature, whether it's a buyer's market, seller's market, if prices are increasing, decreasing, things like this. Then we went and talked about how to find buyers, where you should be looking, or we even talked about marketing material, where you should be marketing. Then we went into talked about sellers. We said, where should you be looking for sellers, how to talk to sellers, how that conversation should go. And now we're going into the follow-up, okay? So like I said, if you've been following that and actually implementing the training, you would have been able to possibly get some research done, created marketing material based off of that research, reached out to sellers, reached out to buyers, and now we're at a point where we need to do the follow-up, okay? So when we talk about follow-up means you've already made contact, you've already had conversation, whatever the case may be, left a letter, anything like this. Now you need to reach back out to make sure that person still has you in the back of their mind as well for your services, or to pretty much reach back out based off of certain things, which we'll get into in a second. So when it comes to following up, the number one thing you want to make sure is number one thing you want to make sure is the uh, organization. You want to make sure you're organized, okay? Uh, the reason I say this is because when it comes to following up, when you're meeting with these sellers, you're meeting with these buyers or these prospects, uh, I encourage you guys to kind of get information on them as a person, okay? Not just as a client, not just as somebody who may or may not buy, who may or may not sell, but as a person, right? So you want to make sure you're organized by understanding who you're speaking to. The person who talked about a dog, the person who talked about their kid who's graduating, the person who just recently got engaged. Remembering these facts, remembering this information is important, because one thing you don't want to do is, one second. One thing you don't want to do is to mess up or get the information you have incorrect. Okay. I don't want to reach out to the single person and say, how's your engagement going? I don't want to reach out to the person with no kids and say, how's the kid's graduation? Right. You want to make sure you're organized, you have the information uh correctly. Right. So that's going to be the number one thing, making sure you're organized in that way. Uh, of course, when you're following up as well, depending on when you do this, more than likely information is going to change. Your data is going to change. What that means is the type of houses that were on the market may no longer be on the market. You might have a different set of homes. The buyer's market might be a seller's market now. You might see a increase of listings versus before, or a decrease of listing versus before. So all these things you want to make sure you're letting this client know when you're following up with them. Reason being is that buyer may say, I'm waiting to see when there's more options on the market, right? So if you're saying I'm waiting to see when there's more options on the market, and now there are more options on the market, you're able to provide that to that buyer. When that seller is saying, I'm waiting to see if prices can go up a little bit more, and you're seeing new listings or more pending sales at a higher price, you're able to say, hey, recently we've had about 5 properties go pending, 5 properties sell at a higher price. Maybe this is a time that you could take advantage. We're seeing a shift in the market. Okay. And then, of course, appointments, because everybody is busy. Everybody has things that they're doing. You want to make sure you're punctual, you're organized when it comes to your appointments. You know, when you're meeting with certain people, what time, what place. You're not mixing up. You're not double booking. You're not putting yourself in a position where your 2 o'clock appointment and your, 3 o'clock appointment were accidentally at the same time, and you're telling the 2 o'clock they have to wait, or you're telling the 3 o'clock they have to wait, and things like this, right? So you want to make sure you're organizing that way as well. So when should you follow up? We talked about going door to door. We talked about social media. We talked about flyers. We talked about all kinds of different ways that you could meet different clients or prospective clients, right? So knowing when to follow up is going to be important. Everybody's going to be different. We're going to start with just the basic, the 1 to 2 weeks after you've met with this person or spoke to this person. Okay, 1 to 2 weeks. That gives them enough time to think about the information. It gives them enough time to uh, do some research if they weren't, expecting to buy. They're not expecting to sell. And now you just brung it in their face and they're kind of starting to think about it. It gives them enough time to not only do what they do on the regular, whether it's work, school, the kids, whatever the case may be, but they have time to do that and a little bit of research as well. You're not just, hey, I need an answer tomorrow. Hey, I need an answer the next day. You're giving them adequate time to do research, to really think about it, possibly discuss with family, spouse, friends, whatever the case may be. In that 1 to 2 weeks, they may even stop at a bank and talk to a banker to kind of find out information about what their bank offers. They might reach out to a loan officer, whatever the case may be. They're doing these things within that 1 to 2 weeks, possibly. So 1 to 2 weeks after, you're pretty much reaching back out and saying, hey, this is so and so. We spoke not too long ago. We had a conversation regarding you possibly purchasing, regarding you possibly listing your property. Just wanted to see what you thought of, if you had any questions. I also had some information going back to what we were just saying, being organized, having updated data on the market. Say I also have some information in regards to the current market. I'm noticing this, I'm noticing that, and thought that would be some interesting information that you may want to know, right? So within that 1 to 2 weeks, you're pretty much just doing a quick follow-up, finding out where that person stands, where their head is at, okay? Now, with the follow-up, one thing you need to know as well is it's not a one-time thing. You don't follow up 1 to 2 weeks after and then wait for the rest of your life for them to reach back out to you. No, if you do the 1 to 2 weeks after, depending on their response, you might do another follow-up, okay? They might say, after that 1 to 2 weeks, I'm not ready. I can't do this, right? No problem. That may or may not be a closed book, right? They might say, yes, I did speak to my family members, my spouse, my kids, whatever the case is. They spoke to those people and they're considering it for the end of the year. Okay. Now they've created a window or a possibility for you to follow up again. End of the year, no problem. You might follow up November, October, or December, right? Because now that's going to allow them time to do whatever they're doing. And since they said they were thinking about doing it at that time, when you're following up, you're back into their face. You're reminding them of what they wanted to do if they possibly forgot, if they weren't thinking too much about it, or maybe they were thinking about it and now they're ready at the time that you're following up. And they say, that's right. This is the person that reached out to me. That's right. This is the person that gave me the idea to list my home or to purchase my new home. Like I said, we have a lot of different ways that we are doing this marketing or what we're doing as far as finding clients. So one of the ways we talked about is people who are in apartments, people who are renting, right? So a few months before lease ends, a lot of places require a 60-day notice if you're going to be renewing your lease. What that means is you're looking at people who have to pretty much make the decision of whether they're moving out of those properties within 60 days of their lease terminating. You could, at the time that you're meeting with these people, ask questions in regards to their lease when it is up, when they have to renew. Do they expect to renew? Things like this, right? If you do that, you may have the answer and you know exactly when to follow up. Okay, this person's lease renew ends in July, right? That means in May, I'm going to be following up to make sure I'm doing my part to say, hey, your lease is coming to an end soon. I know you're going to have to let your place know if you're going to renew it or if you're going to terminate it. Uh, what are you thinking now as far as buying a new property? Now, this is also going to be relevant for sellers as well, not just buyers, because sellers may have a property that they're currently renting out and they're expecting to sell it within or at the end of this current lease, right? So maybe a few months before that lease as well, you say, hey, I know that lease is about to end for your tenants. Are you expecting to sell the property once they leave? I know we talked about it before. Time has come now. What are you thinking you're wanting to do right now? Right. And of course, once again, what's very important is gonna be that data you collected, what's going on in the current market, because that could shift your clients or your prospective clients uh, as far as if they're going to or if they're not going to move forward with a sell or purchase. Holidays and birthdays, I'm gonna put them together. Reason being is because those are gonna be the easiest ways to follow up with a client, and you're gonna have a lot of creative ways to follow up with clients. With holidays, you're able to say, let's say Christmas, for example, you're able to send cards, you're able to send uh, social media posts, you're able to do events, you're able to invite them to the what is it, potluck for Thanksgiving, for example, Easter, your church is having an event, you invite them over. Whatever the case may be when it comes to holidays, you have a lot more creative ways that you can follow up with that person. And if you're not going to be inviting them to this place, if you're not going to be uh, doing something like, going to an event, you might simply just send out a happy holiday, right? Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy Easter, something like that. Just that message allows them to say, oh, that's right. That's that person I spoke to. That's that realtor I spoke to. That's the agent that I was thinking of using to buy my home. That's the agent I was thinking of to list my home, right? So holidays are going to be a great way to follow up with people. And fortunately for us, there's a lot of months with holidays, right? So you're pretty much able to follow up with your clients every month, every other month, right? So that's going to be something that you definitely could do. July 4th, happy 4th of July, Easter, happy Easter, Christmas, Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, even, wherever the case may be. Uh, you're able to just use those to your advantage. And like I said, send some cool cards, send some cool images, like those images that people send over text. Nice social media posts. That's a way of following up with clients as well, right? You have plenty of followers, you might have met them at a place, at a door, at an event, whatever the case may be. You've met them, you have them on your social media now, and you post it. Merry Christmas to all my future clients, past clients, and current clients. Something like that. They feel like when they see that, they know you're probably talking about them, right? Birthdays. This one is going to be a little bit more personal, but it is something that's possible depending on the client. Sometimes we have clients that at the time they want to move forward, and for one reason or another, they aren't able to, yet you're able to collect that birthday, yet you're able to get that information. Maybe you met them at a place and it was their birthday at the time that you met them. You saw them getting ready to go somewhere. You stopped them. Hey, you look great. Are you heading out somewhere? Just had a few, questions for you. Oh, yes, it's my birthday. I'm heading to this place. Oh, I'll make it quick. And then that's how you had that conversation when you initially met them. Now you can jot that down, note that this is that person's birthday. Past clients you've dealt with. You have their birthday information, use that as well. Follow up, send happy birthday, send cards, send possibly a small gift, whatever the case may be. You can do these things as a way of following up with those people. And past clients are going to be helpful for you to get future clients. So you can still use some of these methods to gain business from those past clients. Holidays, birthdays, you can definitely reach out to those people and get potential new clients from those past clients as well. New listings in the area, that's another one. So this is going to be for the sellers especially, right? If you have people who are looking to possibly sell their property in the past or in the future, I mean, uh, having those new listings, having that information on those new listings in the area may help them to make that decision. Hey, just wanted to let you know a few houses down, somebody just listed their home and they're selling it for $20,000 more than what you originally wanted to sell yours. They're selling it for $50,000 more for what you originally wanted to sell yours. This new listing went pending within 2 days of being on the market. I know you were interested. I know you were waiting to see if the market could get a little bit hotter on for sellers. I think this is the time. Houses are not staying on the market in your area anymore. Same thing with buyers. Hey, I know you're thinking of buying a house, you wanted to stay in this area, and you noticed there was not too many homes. Well, there is a new home now. Did you want to check it out? Hey, did you want to go ahead and move forward with the pre-approval process so that you could potentially buy this property that's in your area? So that's multiple ways that you could follow up with your clients, from, or that's multiple different times you could follow up with your clients, right? So when there's new listings, uh, holidays, birthdays, just before the lease is in, 1 to 2 weeks after you've initially met them. And in this one, I haven't listed on here, but if you find out something that may be personal, for example, and you know about it, then you could also follow up at that time. For example, if you know that I'll just use a random name. Orlando High School is having a graduation, and you know that client has a kid that's at Orlando High School. You could use that as a way to follow up. Hey, congratulations to your kid on the graduation. Uh, wish you guys the best. If you need anything, need any information, let me know. That in itself is a follow-up as well, right? Uh, if there was a fire in the area that they live, right? You might follow up and say, hey, I know there was a fire in the area. Just want to make sure everybody's safe. That's another way of following up as well. And that itself is just as a human, right? In society, that is something that you're showing that you care for the person, right? And that's something that they might find valuable. That's something they might say, you know what, this is the person I want to work with, somebody who's not just only looking for business, but also caring about my safety. A house that was on fire, two houses down, one house down, and they followed up to make sure I was okay. I appreciate something like that. So all these things you could use to your advantage as far as following up. Meeting. So meeting with your clients is going to be something a little bit further down, right? You can kind of try to expedite those previous things that I just said when we were talking about the weeks before the end of the lease, things like this. You can kind of put these together, or you could possibly later on, further down, possibly set up the meetings. Why are we setting up meetings? Okay, if we're talking about a buyer here, let's say we did our follow-up 1 to 2 weeks after, and they say, yes, I thought about it. I spoke to everybody. I do want to buy this house. Let's go ahead and start the process. That's when you set up your meeting with them, right? You want to sit down with them, make sure they understand what the process is going to be like. Sitting down in person is going to be, something that you could do. And I think a lot of people would appreciate it and they like that format more, but it's not the only way. You could do this via Zoom. You could do this over the phone. You could collect documents via email, get them connected with an LO directly, et cetera, et cetera. But let's say it's somebody who's able to come into a physical location and meet with you. You're able to talk to them, explain the process, answer any questions they may have, right? You could even set up with the LO, right? Let's say you have a loan officer that you work with and they're local. You could possibly set up to sit down with that loan officer and that client to say, hey, here's what we're expecting. Bring your documentation. Let's go ahead and get you pre-approved, pre-qualified on the spot so that we can get this process moving quicker, or as soon as possible, right? Meeting with a title company. If you have a seller, that seller's like, hey, I'm looking to do it. Let's go ahead and push go on this process here. You might meet with a title company, you sit down with them and say, here's all the numbers, here's after fees, what you're gonna walk away with. We can go ahead and initiate a title search and start getting lien searches done so that we know that uh, all the debts that you have on this property, any liens you have on this property, how much you're gonna be owing and how much your fees are gonna be and what you're going to walk away with, right? So you do all these things, you sit down with them, you get to meet them, you get to really show them that you're on top of this, right? You're going straight into it. You sat down from the talk to the table, and now they're actually in this process. It was something super smooth. Maybe 1 week ago you met them, week two, you guys decided you're moving forward, and 2, 3 days later, you guys are already working on listing photos. You guys are already starting to set up showings, right? So they're seeing that you're really on top of this. Sitting with LOs is going to be to your advantage as well, because a lot of times as realtors or real estate agents, there's a lot of questions that we may not be able to answer, especially if it's regarding the mortgage itself, especially if it's regarding credit, if it's regarding debt to income ratio, things like this, you might need a loan officer to answer those directly to the client or answer it better than you might when the client asks it, right? So sitting down with that loan officer is going to be to your advantage, be to your client's advantage, so they can get those questions out and get the best answer directly from a loan officer in order to be more confident in you. And as we said in the past, your loan officer, your title company, other agents in your office are part of your team, right? So they have more confidence in your team as well. If they had a confidence in your abilities, now they have a confidence in your abilities and your team's abilities. And of course, title companies are always a great place to meet with clients. We have plenty of title companies throughout the state of Florida. Many of them are wanting to and willing to work with different agents and allowing them to sit in their conference room, use their offices to meet with clients, meet with loan officers, etc., sellers, right? So if you could reach out to them, set up a few appointments, create a relationship with those title companies, and that allows you to have a space where you're able to sit down with your clients or prospect clients and pretty much make a come up with a game plan, get them pre-approved, talk about fees, etc., etc. Now, ways to follow up. Okay. So we talked about when to follow up. I gave you guys a few examples for some of these, but there are a lot of different ways to follow up with clients. Of course, phone call is going to be probably the quickest and the most efficient way, right? Um, you might have went to, so let's say you're based out of Orlando and you probably went to Kissimmee, you probably went to Apopka, you probably went to Altamont to meet some of these clients, door knocking, events, whatever the case may be. Uh, a phone call is probably going to be the most efficient way to follow up with them. You don't have to drive all the way back out there. You don't have to, go to 15 different houses for follow-ups. You might be able to just, hey, this is Joel. We spoke a few weeks ago, give them a little information so they know exactly who they're talking about or they're talking to, of course. But that's one way to follow up, just that quick phone call. It's not on here on the list, but of course, text as well. If you're unable to reach them, leave a voicemail, send a text, things like this. That's also a great way to follow up. Email, that's going to be another great one. If you do have their email, you could always send the same thing we are just talking about, data. If you have data on the market, you can send that via email. If you have a holiday that just passed, right? Birthdays that just passed, you can send virtual uh, cards. You can send any little holiday gift or whatnot in that email as well, so that you're able to give them information, you're able to follow up, they're able to reach back out to you, they have your contact information in your email, so usually that's going to be in your signature. They're able to follow up and reach out to you via phone call, text, or just email you back as well. Mailers. So once again, if you went outside of your, 5, 10, 15-mile radius to go do some marketing, mailers might be your best bet. You may not want to drive 2 hours out, 1 hour out to follow up with folks. So you might just go ahead and send some mailers. You already know their addresses, you have their information. You send a letter, whether it's handwritten, typed, a card, whatnot, you send it to them. Once again, holidays, birthdays, you might send a birthday card, a holiday card to them as a way of following up via mailers. And then, of course, in person, once again, it may not be the most efficient, but it is going to be good to have that person-to-person contact. So if it's possible, I would highly recommend that you guys do that to follow up in person. You may not follow up in person uh, for every client. You may not follow in person at their property, at the place that you met them, right? Maybe you do start with a call. Hey, just wanted to meet up with you, and you set up that appointment and you follow up in person via that appointment. You might follow up in person if you go to church together, you see them at church. Your kids go to school together, you see them at the school car loop. You see them at the school football game, something like this. You follow up in person. Hey, it's good to see you here. Uh, just wanted to give you some quick information or answer any questions if you have while we're already here, right? Things like this will be really helpful as far as ways to follow up. And then, of course, social media. Social media, you're posting all the time. Hopefully, you're putting your closings, you're putting information on the market, you're putting your tours, you're putting house pictures, things like this, programs available. All these different posts that you're posting, you're getting interactions. You might see somebody that you spoke to interact to something that you posted, right? And you might follow up based off of that. You might say, hey, I noticed that you like the image about down payment assistance. Just wanted to reach out and see if you had any questions. That's a follow-up, right? Hey, I noticed that you like the new sale I just had. You know, it was actually in the area not too far from where you wanted to be. So just wanted to see if you had any questions or if there's anything I can do for you. This is also another way of following up, or you could just simply reach out to them, send them a message via social media. Maybe they didn't give you their phone number or their email, but they gave you their social media. So you're able to simply say, hey, just wanted to reach out and see if you had any questions for me or if I could be of any service to you in regards to your purchase or your sale. So the follow-up, it is fairly simple. The biggest part of the follow-up, aside from data, of course, and organization, is going to be the actual consistency of it, right? Uh, Once again, you're not just doing this one time after you met the client. You're doing it every few weeks, maybe every month. It really does depend on the client, of course, as well, because if they tell you they're not interested in looking to buy, they're not interested in look to sell, right? Then of course you're not wanting to follow up every week after that when they clearly told you they're not interested in doing this, right? That 1 to 2 weeks after they thought about it, now is not the time for them. You're not going to keep following up every day after that saying, hey, I know yesterday wasn't the time, but today might be. No, maybe a month, 2 months, maybe even a year later, you might follow up with that client. Of course, organizing to know who's ready, who's not ready, who's thinking about it, organizing your list or your journal or having a list of those clients, setting it up to know who's ready right away, who's not ready right away, and setting it up and organizing it so that you're able to follow up more efficiently is going to be helpful for you guys. Um, the Consistency, like I said, is going to be a big part of it. You want to make sure that you're not just doing it one time, you're doing it multiple times, multiple different ways, right? So we did do a few different ways of following up. Maybe we send a text today, next week we make a phone call, 1 month later we might do a mailer, right? Holidays, right? I might say Christmas, I sent them a letter, or Thanksgiving, I sent them a letter, Christmas, I sent them a letter, New Year's, I sent them a text, things like this, right? So you're consistently being in their face without bothering them necessarily, right? Because it is a holiday, maybe it's their birthday. Uh, you're just sending out that happy holiday, you're just sending out that happy birthday kind of thing. Kid got engaged, mother got engaged, whatever the case may be. Congratulations if they got married, had a new kid, things like this. You're simply just saying, congratulations, happy holidays, whatever the case may be. Throughout the year, like I said, there's plenty of holidays. You're consistently being in their face, consistently being a reminder that if they are looking to buy, if they're looking to sell, you're available. And then, of course, the meetings, like I said, that's going to be really, really to your advantage and great, especially if you're sitting down at a title company, if you're sitting down with a loan officer, you pretty much have your team to support you. It's not just you, but they see you have a team ready to help them in their process. Any questions on those? No questions. All right. Well, I do appreciate you guys for joining me. If you guys do have any questions later on, do feel free to give me a call, send me an email, whatever the case may be. Of course, if you guys missed any of this, this is available on YouTube. You guys can just look it up on the Amerilead page. All the videos will be uploaded on there. And as I said in the beginning, if you're following these trainings as they're coming out, as they're happening, you guys will be able to implement these things and you guys will see how it works chronologically from finding the clients, setting up marketing material to the follow up, the conversation, and next week or next training will continue to go down the path of what you should be doing, right? So now that we're followed up, Now we need to set up a meeting. How should that meeting be set up? Now we need to start going out and setting up our contracts and getting our agreements done. How should that be? Right. So as we go further and further along with these trainings, you'll realize, like I said, everything is in chronological order, and you guys will have everything you need, especially if you go back into the videos to pretty much get your clients, close on your clients, and of course, gain new clients from those clients. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and thank you again for joining.
Thank you.